Recording in progress. All right, y'all. What's going on? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Put a one in the chat if y'all can hear me clearly. All right, let me know if my sound is good. I feel like my voice is a little deep this morning. All right, got a little baritone going on. Just a little bit. Let me take some time to make my tea to get started. All right. Let me know if y'all can hear them carrying on. Folks got the leaf blower going. They got landscape and stuff going on in the background. I don't know how much background sound we're picking up. Hopefully not too much or any at all. All right, we got some ones in the chat. There we go. We got Virginia, Ella. What's going on? We got Delightful Days. We got the mama in the chat. Here we go. What's going on? Good to see y'all in here. That's right. So we're running it back, right? So we got some more morning meal prep. I'm not cooking anything this morning, though. I'm not doing that. I am not doing that, right? But I had a lot of interesting calls and questions that people asked me over the last week about gut health issues, about autoimmune disease, about blood pressure, blood sugar numbers, diabetes, weight loss, all those different types of stuff, right? So weight gain. And one common mistake I see that people make on their journey is not eating enough, right? Or even thinking they need to eat less, right? And, of course, right in the thumbnail there, what I say, do not eat less. All right? Food is not like some burden that you're over encumbered with. Right? That's not how that works. You did Barry White, one of your favorite singers, yeah? So people make this mistake of figuring out, oh, well, if I want to heal my gut, it's uncomfortable to eat. Therefore, I got to eat less. That ain't it. Or I want to lose weight, therefore I have to eat less. That ain't it. I'm gonna explain why. I don't know if I want to get like too technical. I mean, I can, right? But I don't want to overcomplicate it too much, right? But when we talk about calorie deficits, eating less, and all of this, the question then becomes, what are you eating less of, right? Because that matters, right? So you have this whole calories in, calories out thing. And I keep telling folks, stop skipping meals, stop eating less. Oh, hold on a second. Can't see the Zoom link. Give me a second here. Who's saying that? So yeah, basically, people will apply conventional rules of eating to like a raw vegan diet or something like this, right? And that's a mistake because they don't work that way. What is he saying? He doesn't see the Zoom link. Who doesn't see the Zoom link? By the way, I posted, for those who are in the tribe, I posted the Zoom link to call in. All right, if you wanted to jump into the call. Did he delete did he delete it? Are you in here? Hold on a second. I might be seeing something late. Let's open that up. I don't know why I'm not seeing his comment, but it's up on my end. I don't know why he's saying he can't see it. And I don't see it here, so I don't know what it is. Okay, yeah. So basically, I don't know what that's about. I'm over here getting mixed up. He's saying he can't see the zoom link. Oh, I see under here. You should be able to see it. I posted it right in the comments. Give me 1 second, y'all. Yeah, it's up there. Why is he saying he can't see it? That don't make no sense. I just gotta pull something up right quick. Give me 1 second, y'all. 1 second, 1 second. All right. Okay, so yeah, basically, you can't really apply conventional rules of nutrition to like a more of a raw diet, right? And the reason why is because raw foods engage with your digestive tract in a fundamentally different way, right? So scientifically speaking, you have your leafy green vegetables, you have your fruits and things like this, and these are scientifically categorized as anti-obesogens, meaning the more of these foods you consume, the more body fat you reduce, right? These things run counter to obesity. They also run counter to the metabolic disorders and chronic illnesses that produce obesity, right? Obesity is not like, oh, you just have a surplus of calories trapped inside your body. That's not really how that works, right? Obesity or excess fat gain in the body is a chronic illness, so to speak, right? It's a metabolic dysfunction that allows for the overaccumulation of stored fat inside your body. Your body will store fat not just to hold on to extra energy, but it will store fat to protect your body from pathogens, right? So this is why you can have like an excess accumulation of stored fat around your midsection. Now, is that because your body needs to store more energy, particularly around your vital organs? No. It's typically because there's more toxicity around your vital organs, right? People don't have like a small waist and six-pack abs and really fat, flabby arms and legs. It doesn't work like that. If it's an excess accumulation around your vital organs, that's distress. That's some type of metabolic dysfunction or toxicity that needs that is a threat to your vital organs. And this is essentially how this works. So, for example, if you have a diet that has an abundance of probiotic and prebiotic foods and dietary fiber and antioxidants, like you on a raw diet, one of the first things you'll notice is the place where you lose the most inches from is your waist. All right. The more your diet detoxes your blood and your gut, the more inches you lose on your waist, right? So typically what happens is let's say if you're on a weight loss goal, the number one thing that you need to do is you need to be able to flush waste and toxins out of your body. So you had to clear out your colon and you need to rehydrate your body with way more potassium, magnesium, copper, vitamin C, things like this. So what happens, this allows your kidneys to function a lot more effectively. And if your kidneys have a stress reduction, if you ease the workload of your kidneys, your adrenal glands will dial down to a healthy level, therefore bringing down the cortisol, right? Because excess cortisol leads to like that cortisol body, you know, the skinny arms and legs and like the big torso, right? The stress body, right? The PCOS body, the Hashimoto's body, right? And so when you dial down that cortisol, you have a healthy level of lipolysis going on in your body without the excess stress and aldosterone and all of this type of stuff, making your face puffy and all this. All of that reverses, right? And then you will get to a certain set point where then you will have to improve your body's metabolic functioning by improving blood flow, increasing skeletal muscle mass, bone density, and things like that, to then increase the rate of fat metabolism. Right? But primarily you have to detoxify your body first, and then you have to do things like improve sleep quality, etc. Whether you're trying to reverse lupus, any type of thyroid issue, Hashimoto's, PCOS, let's say endometriosis, right? Diverticulitis, Crohn's, colitis, diabetes, hypertension, whatever kind of blood pressure issues, kidney disease. You have to eat more and sleep more, or eat more and sleep better. But it depends on what you eat more of, right? That's the catch. That's the catch. That's the difference maker, right? Food. Food is a resource that your body uses as the basis for improvement or correction. If you have less of it, you make less improvement, less correction, right? Now, there's a caveat that I bake into this. And so the caveat is, and I always tell people, either you're going to eat in abundance or not eat at all, right? I don't really recommend that you do in between. You can do in between. I wouldn't really recommend it. You can do like these slight calorie deficits and things like that. But if you do a calorie deficit, it should be slight. It shouldn't be like, you're eating, 30, 40% below maintenance or anything like that. That's too steep, right? So that's way too much resource deprivation that is chronically sustained. And you can lose weight like that. Don't get me wrong, you can lose weight like that, right? So let's say if you burn like 2,000 calories a day, you only eat 1,200 calories a day or something like that. You could lose weight doing that. You could. It's not a guarantee, but you could. The problem is when you start eating at maintenance again, you're going to gain a lot of that weight right back. And then it's going to freak you out and you're going to start cutting calories again because that weight is going to come rushing back super quick and it's going to be deeply alarming. And the reason why is because you create metabolic instability when you get used to being underfed, right? When you go through this chronic long-term resource deprivation, that right there, there's going to be a price to pay for doing that, right? Because it's a stressor. It's going to negatively impact your sleep quality. And if you negatively impact your sleep quality, whatever body fat that you were trying to keep off is going to come right back, right? That's why that sleep quality and that food consumption is so important. And it's important to hear your relationship. Let me get the vibe going. Hold on one second. All right. So you got to heal your relationship with food, which means you have to be, oh, you know what? I ran out of matcha, didn't I? I sure did. There's one thing that I really enjoy doing, and I'm actually going to do it this morning. I've been using, like this Italian herb and spices that I have. I've been using this for tea because it's got like rosemary in it. It's got basil in it and different things like that. Tea, herbs that I've already been using for teas. But this is like really good. So like this Italian herb and spice that you can normally use in like your pasta sauces and things like that. Right? So you get some tomato sauce and onion and garlic and whatever. You can put this in there and make like a beautiful tomato sauce, right? But you can also use this seasoning to create a tea, right? These herbs to make tea, right? And I've been really enjoying it. So that's what I'm a default to until I get more of my matcha in here. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so sleep quality and eating more, right? So one thing is very important to understand, right? So I've had people with MS, okay? I've had people with lupus. I've had people with Guillain-Barré, apparently that's how you say it, right? I've had people with colitis, Crohn's, right? All types of crazy issues. And it's the same thing I've been saying for years, right? When they couldn't believe they can reverse these conditions, right? I've had people with cancer. They couldn't believe, they're like, wow, I can't believe my doctor said you can't reverse it, you can only treat it. I said, well, your doctor is trained to think a certain way, right? We don't follow the same methodology or philosophy. but pretty much any chronic illness is reversible to one degree or another. They are, right? But they're largely reversible. I haven't really seen a chronic illness that's not reversible. Right? But the key really is sleep quality and eating in abundance. But what you eat in abundance is the catch, right? So this is why I'm a big advocate of like a fruit-based diet. So the key hallmark traits of a fruit-based diet is going to be that it's very abundant in vitamin C. It's very abundant in copper, right? If you were to just increase vitamin C and copper in your diet alone, that would make a tremendous difference in every aspect of your health, right? Just vitamin C and copper. Kid you not, right? When I was like, I think I was either, what age was I? I think I was like 20 or my early 20s or something like this. And my mom put me onto this thing. It was a vitamin C cleanse. And basically what the vitamin C cleanse is you get like a powdered vitamin C, right? It's like vitamin C in a powder. It's buffered vitamin C. It's like vitamin C with like mixed with like magnesium and potassium, like bicarbonate or something like this. And basically what you do is you drink like 4 ounces of water with like a teaspoon or something like that of the vitamin C powder. And you do it in like these intervals. It's either like 20 or 30-minute intervals or something like that. And you keep doing that until you get like diarrhea, basically. You get watery stool. And it's meant to be like a cleanse. It's ideal doing like an empty stomach. And so the idea is you flood your body with vitamin C. And what happens is you maximize the storage and uptake of vitamin C in all of your cells. And you also loosen up the stool and the buildup in your colon. You flush your colon, right? So it's like a colon flush, but you're also rehydrating your gut and just flooding your body with a high level of vitamin C, right? And you can do this like pretty much if you're sick, if you have any type of sickness, fever, flu, whatever, or you can do it like once a week, or you can do it twice a month, or whatever the case is, to like improve different aspects of your body, your gut health, things like this, right? And it works tremendously well as vitamin C flush, right? It has a similar effect. You can also do this with magnesium citrate, right? But with the vitamin C is the most common antioxidant that you would find in your diet, and is one primarily that you can get in really, really high doses very easily, right? And vitamin C can pretty much repair any issue in your body, right? We're talking about vitamin C can reverse heart conditions. Vitamin C can normalize your blood pressure. Vitamin C can fix your gut health. Vitamin C can repair your skin and reverse aging of your skin. Vitamin C does all kinds of, vitamin C help you drop body fat, right? Particularly in your midsection. Vitamin C does all this magical stuff, right? Vitamin C also helps to improve blood sugar and help reverse type 2 diabetes, right? Vitamin C can help to reverse type 1 diabetes. Does all these magical things. Vitamin C also helps to repair your liver and cleanse your liver, all this different type of stuff. The same thing goes for your diet, right? So if you're doing like a raw kind of fruit-based diet, if you can, that's like so loud, it's distracting. But if you can, on a daily basis, have like anywhere from 3 to 5 pounds of fruit, at least in your day, you'll notice a significant difference in your mental clarity, your mood, right? Energy, right? Mental focus, all this different type of stuff. It significantly improves. And you'll hear like a lot of like fruitarians or raw vegans, they'll say the same thing of like, oh, I have much better energy, much better mental clarity, much better all this kind of stuff. But basically, when you're eating like an abundance of fruit, you're flooding your body with these resources, right? Speaking of that, let me get into my prep here. I gotta start with some honeydew. I got 3 melons here to see which one is ready to go first. I think it's this one. Yeah, that's right. This one is ready to go too. This is beautiful. It's got a nice little give to it. This honeydew is gonna be real smooth. Oh, it's gonna be beautiful. So that's just the vitamin C alone. I'm not even talking about all the other things. Because also, if you eat like a high fruit-based diet, you also get an abundance of copper. Copper is one of those resources that's essential to improving your nervous system and your blood flow. All right, copper is key to detoxifying your blood and facilitating the electrical charge and conduction of energy through your blood. All right. Your cells cannot breathe without copper. Copper is one of those foundational elements or minerals, trace minerals, needed to facilitate oxygen uptake and utilization. All right. And so you eat like this raw diet, you get like, 5, even 600% of your RDI in vitamin C. I mean, not in vitamin C, in copper. Vitamin C, you can also get like around 500%, something like this. Depends, right? This is why I'm a big fan of kiwis. Because kiwis ain't no joke. Kiwis are extremely high in copper and vitamin C. Like if you can get some good kiwis, if you get kiwis in your diet, that's one of them foods you should definitely be getting in. Right? Kiwis are an amazing fruit. Kiwis are a really significant source of vitamin C, copper, and magnesium. Right? Kiwis are. But yeah, so that vitamin C and copper, if you wanted to increase weight loss and fat metabolism, you get more copper in your diet. It would literally increase the rate of fat metabolism going on in your body. All right. And what's interesting too is, copper and vitamin C are really important to beating cancer. Cancer for the most part exists in an acidic environment, and cancer for the most part is anaerobic, right? Meaning they thrive in the absence of oxygen, right? So if you get a reduction in oxygen or you get a reduction in hemoglobin, cancer will thrive in that environment. Now, there's different types of cancers and they have different properties. They work slightly differently. So there is some nuance there. But for the most part, alkalizing your body. When I say alkalizing your body, I don't mean taking every area of your body and making it alkaline. That's not really particularly what I'm talking about. Because some people will say, like, oh, well, your stomach is supposed to be acidic. I'm not talking about alkalizing your stomach. That's not what I'm talking about. Right? When I say alkalize your body, I'm more so referring to intracellular pH balance. And I'm talking about the pH level of your blood. Right? That's mainly what I'm talking about. Right? I'm not talking about like your stomach acid in relation to your actual stomach. Your stomach is supposed to be acidic because it needs to be able to break down the foods that you eat. Right? But there aren't really many other areas of your body that needs to be acidic. And in fact, pretty much every other area of your body, if they are acidic, that's going to be a low oxygen environment that will cause chronic illness. Right? So people try to get cute. They're like, well, what about the stomach? Nah, but so copper, if you're like, let's say if you're anemic, right? Or let's say if you are battling cancer or something like this, or let's say you have really bad menstrual cycles, you have like a really heavy period and things like this, right? If you increase dietary copper and vitamin C, that can go a long way towards reversing that issue, right? So I've had a lot of women who have like, either they're not getting their menstrual cycle, or where they get their menstrual cycle, it's way too heavy to the point where like their menstrual cycle is debilitated, right? And they're like, oh, I need to take iron because I'm losing a lot of iron and my iron is low. A lot of the time your iron is low because you have a gut health issue or you're not getting enough copper in your diet, right? And what's interesting is when you think about low iron is not just the result of not eating enough iron, right? Most people who are anemic, they actually get a lot of iron in their diet through eating animal products. They still have low iron, right? In fact, the people who are most likely to have low iron are meat eaters, right? So your doctor will typically tell you to supplement with iron. And it's like, well, supplementing with iron in and of itself is not really going to work, right? And the reason why is because if you have chronically elevated oxidative stress, the oxidative stress will deplete your iron, right? Your body will use iron as a resource to combat inflammation, right? So it's like a resource that is used in this kind of finite way, where you can actually diminish your iron stores when your body is fighting off oxidative stress. Same thing with magnesium, same thing with vitamin D, right? You can have low magnesium levels because let's say your blood sugar is perpetually high and your body will use magnesium in order to bring your blood sugar down. Or let's say you have low vitamin D. Your body will actually deploy more magnesium to try to get your vitamin D levels up. Because if your vitamin D is too chronically low, basically that'll kill you, right? And so magnesium is the currency that your body uses in order to synthesize vitamin D. A lot of the times people have low vitamin D, not just because they don't get enough sun exposure, but because they are going through chronic illness and they have a compromised liver, right? So you'll see a lot of people who are insulin resistant, pre-diabetic, or type 2 diabetic are also vitamin D deficient. And it's like this chicken and egg thing, right? It's like, well, do you have low vitamin D because you're insulin resistant, or are you insulin resistant because you have low vitamin D? Right? And it's like, well, it could be both. So you have to have more of a holistic approach that checks off all the boxes, right? So yeah, you increase your sun exposure. You can supplement with some vitamin D because vitamin D is a steroidal hormone. It's not really a vitamin that you get from food, right? Like you don't eat vitamin D in your diet. It's not really how that works. Right, your body has to make vitamin D, right? So vitamin D is actually D25 hydroxy, right? It's made inside your body. Vitamin D only exists inside the bodies of mammals for the most part. You can get vitamin D technically from like fortified mushrooms and things like that, but that's going to be, or not fortified mushrooms, but mushrooms will make their own vitamin D, but they make vitamin D2. Your body still has to convert that into the form that's compatible for your body to use. Right, that vitamin D2 is just a substrate for your body to undergo that process. Right, it's kind of like protein, right? You eat protein, your body doesn't just take the protein you ate and just slaps it on somewhere in your body. It's not really how that works. Your body will take whatever protein you ate and break it down into its simplest components, right? It's like you buy your kid a computer and your kid just completely disassembles the computer into like all the little nuts and bolts and circuit boards and everything like that. And you go back in your kid's room and you're like, yo, what the hell did you do to the computer? Your kid's like, I took it apart. I disassembled it for parts. And then your kid builds their own new computer from the computer you bought them. You're like, oh my God, this kid's a genius. I handed him a computer or a laptop. This kid got a screwdriver and stuff and opened it up and disassembled it and took all the parts apart and then just made a new computer. It's crazy. That's what your body does. So it's the same thing with like the different forms of vitamin D you get. There are exceptions too. So for example, you can get vitamin D3 from algae, because algae are like these little microorganisms that are similar to us. They have organs, organelles, right? And they also go through a process of making their own vitamin D as well, right? So if you consume algae, when that algae goes through that sun exposure and they synthesize their own vitamin D, and if you ingest that algae, you also get that vitamin D, right? What's interesting though is you don't really necessarily get vitamin D by proxy like that necessarily either. You can increase your levels like that, but it's not really quite that simple. Because your liver still has to do the work to make it your own. Whatever you put in your body is going to do something to it. There's going to go through some type of conversion process. The only caveat is if it's like a mineral. Minerals are a bit different, right? So like vitamin D is a steroidal hormone, right? Or amino acids are like components of a protein, right? This type of thing. That's a bit different. These organic compounds, those have to go through like a synthesis and conversion process, right? But when it comes to minerals, that's different. You just need a transportation mechanism for minerals, right? So minerals typically would have to be bound to an organic substance in order for you to absorb it, right? So like in order to really truly reverse anemia, you have to increase your vitamin C and copper levels, right? So when I always tell people like, and this is why I go back to eating more food, iron is very tightly regulated. So you can increase dietary iron, meaning you can eat more foods theoretically that are higher in iron, but iron is so tightly regulated, you don't absorb most of the iron you eat. So therefore, if you want to increase your iron levels, you actually have to eat more. So if you are anemic and you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to reverse anemia and eat less food, it's going to be much more difficult for you to reverse your anemia and eat less. It's not going to work. Because that's reversing anemia and being in like this steep caloric deficit those are things that are not compatible. Even if you supplement with iron, it's not really compatible, right? Those goals. All right, let me see if I can close this bag. Remember last week I had the tight bag and I was trying to close it? Let me see if I can do it. I'm kind of smashing down here on the fruit. All right, we got it. It's tight, but we got it. It's a tight fit. That's what we want, though. We want a tight fit. We're going to try to cram as much into the bag as we can. What you said, how many calories would you recommend a 28-year-old lady, 183 pounds, but dominantly muscle, gets 8K steps, strength trains 2 days a week, 4 hours in total? Hold on, wait a minute. Each resistance training session you do is 2 hours? So you train for 2 hours twice a week? That is quite the routine. 183 pounds, mostly muscle. When you say mostly muscle, what's your body fat percentage? When you say mostly muscle, right? Like, is your body fat percentage like 16%, 18%? Right? Is it 20%? I mean, if you're 183 pounds, how tall are you? Right? So it depends on how tall you are. That is gonna be a factor. Right? One of the easiest ways too is basically you can take if you wanted to know caloric intake, you could just take your body weight and then, what is it? You take your body weight, you multiply it by 30. Is that the thing? Which, that works for some people, but not necessarily. But as a woman who's 183 pounds, that's like, whoa. It depends. So basically, if we were to go through how much you had to eat, you have to calculate what your BMR is first. So I would say, basically, you can go to Google and you can type in BMR calculator in Google. And then you pick one of the BMR calculators, you go in there, and then it's probably going to ask you basically what's your height, weight, and age. You put in your height, weight, and age, and it's going to tell you what your BMR is. So you have these categories. So you have your BMR. That's the minimum amount of calories your body would burn in a day. And then you have non-exercise related activity, meaning the total caloric burn that comes from non-exercise related activity, washing the dishes, sweeping the floor, using the bathroom, cooking your foods, meal prep, walking up and down the stairs, things like that. Just regular kind of caloric burn that you just do, engage in incidentally, right? It's just a daily part of your life. And then you have your cardio. So if you're doing 8,000 steps a day, you're probably getting like on top of your BMR, you're getting another, I want to say 25, maybe 20% of caloric burn in addition. So your non-exercise related activity would be somewhere around 20 to 25% on top of your BMR. So what you would do is you would add your BMR plus the 20 to 25% from the non-exercise related activity. And then you would add on your cardio, which would be another 20 to 25% on top of the BMR combined with the non-exercise related activity. And then your resistance training, and being that if you're doing resistance training for like 2 hours or something like that, that caloric burn may be somewhere, but it depends, because if you're training for 2 hours, I don't know, because it depends on, you're not training with any, like, I don't know how much the intensity could possibly be in your training if you're training for 2 hours, because human beings just don't really have the capacity to maximize for training intensity and duration like that, right? That's some like real elite level stuff. But I would probably say probably like another 30%, if I had to guess, on top of your cardio, non-exercise related activity and your BMR. So you would have to tally up all those numbers. And that's how you would get how much calories you had to eat. So I would probably say it could be somewhere between like 3,000. It could be somewhere around 3,000 calories, 2,600 at the least, or something like that. If you're like tremendously active and like a high level athlete, right? So that could be the case also, right? So like what I usually tell people too, like on a raw diet, you gotta, if you want to increase your calories, one of the easiest ways to do that is eat more nuts and seeds. Right? So basically you fill your glycogen stores with the fruit. So you can get like a good 300 to 400 grams of carbs from the fruit. And then you can make up the rest of your energy needs from other foods, like your nuts and seeds, sprouted lentils, things like that, sprouted mung beans, right? If you want to just have a more of a raw diet without the cooked food. With cooked food, it could be easier, right? Because then you can just eat like black beans and chickpeas and lentils, and you can just eat more of it, right? So it just depends on what your preference is. I was a little off track. I don't remember what I was talking about. Yeah, let me know in the comments what I was saying beforehand. I think I was saying something along the lines of cutting calories and reversing anemia are not really compatible. You can also be anemic too because your menstrual cycle's too heavy. And so you're losing a lot of blood volume and iron and whatnot because of the heavy menstrual cycle. Right? So your body's trying to purge a lot of toxins that are accumulating in your blood. And that's what's making your menstrual cycle heavier. Right? And then you're getting too much protein in your diet too. If you're getting like excess protein in your diet, that can make your menstrual cycle a lot heavier also, to the point where it's very debilitating. So basically you just get like this excess thickening of your uterine lining, right? It's excess thickening, and when it's time to remove that layer, when it's time to shed that layer, it's gonna be a lot of work for your body to do, and it's not gonna feel good. Right? So yeah, high protein diet, it could be good maybe, but it could also be really bad. It depends on what your body has to do in order to detox. As men, we don't have like a menstrual cycle. So all of that purging, our body just doesn't do that. So we just end up stockpiling all types of stuff in our blood. This is also one of those things that help, or one of the reasons why women live longer than men on average. Right? We don't have menstrual cycles or things like that that help our body detox. If our liver and our kidneys are shot, that's it, right? If we can't regulate and control the visceral fat accumulation, we just get all type of heart issues and enlarged prostate and all of that, and that's it. And we're cooked, right? But as a woman, you have these special abilities and whatnot. Your body has these other mechanisms to detox, but it comes at a cost, right? But yeah, so anyways, iron is also like is an anti-inflammatory trace mineral that your body will use to reduce inflammation, right? So you can actually be hemorrhaging iron as a result of battling inflammation. So that's another reason why if you're eating less, that also cuts against you because you're hemorrhaging more iron than you're taking in. And you don't take in much iron as it is in the first place. So then people will say, well, you eat animal products, those have more iron in them in the form of heme iron. It's like, but heme iron is inflammatory. So if heme iron is an inflammatory, well, then you're going to cause more inflammation in your body, especially if you're insulin resistant, because heme iron will make that worse. And if your family has a history of like cancer and things like that, that now is an extra risk factor because heme iron is a major factor in cancer growth. All right. Corinne, what's going on? Good to see you in here. Well, you said half teaspoon, about 1,500 milligrams of vitamin C every 15 minutes until you have watery diarrhea. Mm-hmm. So look at that, you got the formula down. Are eggs truly that bad? Basically eggs are like big balls of like fat, cholesterol, lipoproteins, this type of thing, right? Human beings aren't really supposed to be eating eggs. Is it like one of the worst foods you can eat? Not necessarily. It could be, but not necessarily. However, there are better food options that have less risk. So when I talk about like foods, right? If you choose between eating steak or eating eggs, which one would I choose personally? Eggs, because that's the least inflammatory. However, I'm biased because I'm like strictly plant-based. I don't eat anything that comes from an animal. So eggs are like a very impractical food. The only reason why eggs are like a staple in our diet is because we have this ridiculously abusive and exploitative apparatus of farming chickens for eggs. That's why people can eat like, 4 eggs a day, 6 eggs a day, and all of this type of stuff. Now, if you are pre-diabetic or insulin resistant or type 2 diabetic, I would not eat eggs. If you have elevated C reactive protein, I would not eat eggs. If you have high ApoB, I would not eat eggs. If you have kidney disease or fatty liver disease, I would not eat eggs. Because you get this increase in lipid saturation in your blood, okay? So this increases LDL production in your body, and LDL is highly susceptible to oxidation, and basically oxidized LDL that increases the development or the likely development of things like atherosclerosis, right? Which will lead to a plaque buildup in your arteries, which can narrow your arteries, stiffen your vascular tissues, and ultimately end up causing you to have a stroke or heart disease or develop a blood clot or something like this, right? So that's why I'm like, there's the risks to it. There's a lot of risks to it. You can get away with it if you don't have any other conditions. You could, until you can't. Right? There's the risk. There's the whole risk thing. And then there's the whole excess estrogen development thing also that you have to think about. And then there's the overaccumulation of fat inside your liver, right? So eating a lot of eggs can lead to a lot of fat accumulation inside your liver. And this can contribute to or lead to things like fatty liver disease. Then there's also things like, let's say, acid reflux or gout, for example. These are issues that largely stem from an overproduction of uric acid in the body. So if you have high uric acid, if you have high triglycerides, if you have a history of gout or acid reflux, I would not eat eggs. All right.
Well, so if you ask,
what is a replacement for eggs? Well, there isn't really a replacement for eggs because, well, eggs are eggs, right? Like there's no replacement for an egg, right? Eggs are fundamentally different things. Eggs are not really like a food. Eggs are, it's the precursor to a chicken. It's what a baby chicken is born out of, right? There's not another type of food it's a replacement for that, right? So diet wise, what are you trying to replace in the eggs? So like if you've been eating eggs in your diet and you want to, replace eggs with another food, what would you replace it with? Well, it depends on why you've been eating the eggs. Like say you've been eating the eggs for protein. So I would say, hemp seeds. Or I was eating the eggs for zinc, omega-3 essential fatty acids, and iron and copper. Okay, hemp seeds. Right? Or I was using eggs in order to make like bread or something like this, right? Because eggs kind of has like a sticky element to it, so it helps to make breads and things like that. Oh, flax seeds, right? Flax seeds or chia seeds? Probably flax seeds would be a better option. Right, so it depends on what you were using the eggs for. Yes, if you were just eating eggs for protein, there's much better protein sources. I would rather eat hemp seeds for protein. All right. So I got my whole bag of grapes here. And what else are we doing? What are we doing? Let me tell you something. My glutes are sore. Oh, man. All right. My glutes are sore, y'all. I bent over to get something out of the bottom shelf of that fridge. Whew. All right. So making another fruit bag. By the way, if you're trying to like build muscle and things like that, I wouldn't really be maximizing for protein consumption. Right? Like, but the interesting thing is I don't really put protein smoothies in the diet plans I write. Because you don't really need protein smoothies. I like them, but that's just because I like them. And that's, but I don't like need them in order to build muscle. Right? They could be useful and convenient if you need to hit a protein goal for a particular reason, but your protein goal is often not that high. Even like, most women do fine with like 40 grams of protein a day. Most men do fine with like 60 to 80. right? Most people don't need like more than 100 grams of protein, right? Even if you're like a very muscular man or something like this, 90 grams of protein a lot of the times is enough, right? So when I talk about eating more, right, I'm talking about more of your most nutrient dense beneficial foods, right? More carbohydrates or more carbon based, hydrogen based foods, right? So you really only need about like a good 10 to 16% of your macros coming from protein. 50 to 65% of that would actually be carbohydrates, and then the rest would be dietary fats. But your dietary fats could be upwards of like 30%, the more raw your diet is. If you start throwing in more cooked foods, well, then your fats would actually be a bit lower, right? Somewhere along the lines of like 15 to 20%, 25 at the most, generally speaking. The reason why I advocate for more of a raw diet is because a lot of nutrients is destroyed in the cooking process. So just understand when you cook your food, you're going to be destroying a lot of the magnesium, you're going to be destroying a lot of the iron. And when I say destroying, I mean oxidizing is the scientific term for it, actually. Right? Think about like, when I talk about the destruction of iron, think about like rust. Right? You can have metal that's made out of iron, and then when it gets water in it, it ages and it starts to get oxidized, it gets rusty. That's like the destruction of it. Good morning, Boo Boo. You look nice. So when you're cooking a food, right, you can lose a lot of the magnesium, right? A lot of the vital nutrients gets eroded in the cooking process. This is like why when I talk about cooking, I'm like, if you're gonna cook, it should be like soups and stews. Because when you cook a food, what happens is as the cell wall releases or opens up, a lot of the micronutrients gets released out from the food and into like the broth, right? Like the water that you're cooking in. I mean, think about like bone broth or any type of broth, vegetable broth. Essentially, the broth is just like all of the minerals and antioxidant compounds and things like that leaching out of the food and into the water, right? Even like with teas, it's the same thing. If you make teas and you put like the herbs or spices and things like that or roots in the water, and it's hot water, the hot water causes the cell walls to open up, and then that's when that stuff exits the herb, the leaf, the root, whatever, and it enters the water, right? You're not losing it, it's just moving from point A to point B. But if you're like baking and frying and things like that, well, now it's just this dry heat that's destroying the composition of the micronutrients. It's not being leached into some water somewhere. You're just burning it. It's essentially what you're doing. You're just burning it, right? So you're just destroying the food in the process. This is why I tell people it's not a good idea to be baking and frying and things, because the baking and the frying and the grilling and all that, you're not just opening up the cell wall. It's this dry heat, and it also reduces the oxygen content in the environment that you're cooking in. Right? It's destructive. Right? So even an air fryer, so you may like air fry, you may like making sweet potato fries, and you're like, oh, well, the sweet potato fries are healthy because they're made out of sweet potato. It's like, yeah. Version of fries. It's not an ideal food choice, but it's better, right? It's not the best, but it's better. But also, if you have to think about frying, when you fry something, you're submerging a food in this low oxygen environment, right? Low oxygen environments are bad, especially for your food, especially for organic compounds or antioxidants, things like that. That low oxygen environment is bad. all of the beneficial, enzymes and things like that you could be getting out of your food. Well, you're not getting that in a low oxygen, high heat environment. Right? So these are things that you got to really consider. Hey, Boo Boo, you want to bring this fruit bag with you? I'm almost done with it. You want this now? Okay. Love you too, Boo Boo. Gotcha. All right. Is cooked basmati rice and steamed vegetables good? Yeah, like if you're boiling and steaming, like you'd boil the basmati rice and then, you steam the greens. How many servings of hemp seeds? Typically, I do 3 to 4 tablespoons of hemp seeds. Oh, let's see. Where is a good place to start on the mostly raw vegan journey as a 45-year-old woman in perimenopause? Most doctors say just eat less and be more active. Yeah, I mean, they say this is a thing when people say just eat less and be more active. It's like, when you say more active as far as what? Do you work out 2 hours a week, 3 hours a week, 4, 5, 6? More active doing what? And then you eat less. Okay, how much less? Doesn't tell you anything, right? And I'm gonna release like a quick video to like today or something like this. Oh, this may be too much. When I say do not eat less, if I had to really define that, I would say do not eat less than your BMR, right? Ideally, you would want to eat at least at or above your BMR. I wouldn't go below your BMR. Right, which is your basal metabolic rate. Yeah, there we go. So let me get my calculator out. So let's say if your BMR was, let's say your BMR was 1,600 calories. And your non-exercise related activity was 20% above that, was 20%. So we add that 20% to the 1,600, we get 1,920, right? If you did cardio, you walk your 10,000 steps a day, that's probably like another 20 to 25%. So then we add, let's say we add 25% to that number. That brings us to 2,400. If you wanted to create a caloric deficit for yourself, I would probably say that you can eat at 1,900 to 2,000 calories and create a slight caloric deficit of 400 calories. So if you're going to burn 2,400 calories in a day, okay. Yeah, if you're gonna burn 2,400 calories in a day and you eat 2,000 calories, yeah, that could be a meaningful deficit for that day, right? So that would be an example of like, oh, eat less. But likely, if you are perimenopausal, pre or postmenopausal, you're not doing that. You're likely eating at or under your BMR, right? So as a general rule, I'm like, well, you shouldn't really be eating below 1,900 calories or 2,000 calories or so. But it depends on what you're eating, right? So like if you were to eat, even if you were to eat 2,400 calories a day, if you're eating 2,400 calories a day, but most of your food is fruit, what's fundamentally different? You'll still lose weight. You can eat 2,600 calories a day. You'll still lose weight. Now there's some people like on a fruitarian diet and I didn't lose any weight and I was just eating all fruit. I'm like, I mean, that's highly unlikely. You're probably eating something else. So for example, like what else are you doing, right? And then also what other underlying metabolic conditions could you have? Because if you're eating a fruit-based diet where you're only eating like 1,000 or 1,200 calories a day just from fruit, it's not enough, right? Especially if you have certain vital nutrient deficiencies and things like that. See, it's a better food choice, but you're not eating enough. So the answer is not eating less. So if you were to increase the amount of fruit that you eat, that's when you'd start seeing more of the weight come off, right? So as you see me doing this meal prep like this now, and I'm getting like these quart-sized bags, you should be eating at least 2 of these quart-sized bags a day, like on a fruit-based diet. It should be like, because 2 of these bags is like a minimum of 80 grams of carbs, but more so along the lines of like 100 to 120. And I stress the carbs because carbs are basically your body's easiest form of energy, right? It's like liquefied natural gas, right? LNG. You go to the pump to fuel your car, and you get that premium gas, right? That's what this is like. It's that top tier gas at the pump, right? So like these grapes right here are a really, really significant source of copper. You would increase the amount of grapes you consume, that's when you can really start seeing some numbers moving on the scale. So I'm gonna leave it at that. So yeah, basically, you could be doing like 2 of these and 1 of these a day. So this could be like 3 bags, at least 2, but preferably 3 on a fruit-based diet. All right. And you could even do 4. Oh, my glutes again. Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so when we get down in the numbers and the brass tacks, right? Do not eat below your BMR. The only time you would eat below your BMR is if you're deploying some type of fasting strategy, right? So, because a fasting strategy is different. That goes back to that thing where I was saying either you're going to be well fed or you're not going to be eating at all. You get the best results from doing either one or the other, right? So whatever you're going to do, whatever strategy you're going to deploy, you have to do it well. So for me, I do my 12 weeks of fasting once a year. And then after that, there ain't no caloric surpluses. I'm not cutting no food. I'll eat at 12 o'clock and I'll eat at midnight. If I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. I obey all of my hunger cues for most of the year. If I feel hungry, I eat. And I eat consistently throughout the day. I don't do this. Because what people do a lot too is they'll eat breakfast. And a lot of the times their breakfast ain't that good. So they'll eat a breakfast and then they'll skip all the meals in the middle of the day. They won't eat lunch, or if they do eat a lunch, it's not that great. I'm gonna tell you what people do, actually. This is what people do. Typically what people do is they'll eat breakfast, they'll skip lunch, and then go home and eat a big dinner. All right? The health conscious person will eat like a light breakfast because they want to lose weight. So they're like, I do some berries and some yogurt. So their breakfast would be like 300 calories or something like that, if that. Or they're like, well, I do a juice, I drink a juice. It's something small for breakfast in the morning. Then they're like, well, and then for lunch, I'll eat a salad. And then the salad will just be like a bunch of leafy green vegetables and like, you know, a few other toppings, something like that. But the salad will be like, you know, 200 calories maybe. maybe 300. So in between breakfast and lunch, it's like 600 calories, right? Maybe. It's like around 400 to 600 calories. Then dinner comes around, and dinner will be like another 400 to 600 calories, right? So we're looking at a max of like 1,200 calories a day. If you eat like that, you're eating below your BMR, especially if you're a person who you're very overweight and you're trying to lose weight. So your BMR, the heavier you are, the higher your BMR is. So if your BMR is like 1,800 calories and you're eating like 1,000 to 1,600 calories a day, this is not sustainable. You are running yourself ragged doing that. And you're probably not sleeping very well either. And so basically, let's say if your BMR is 1,600 or 1,800 calories, and then you're doing Zumba class in the gym, right? Or you're doing some type of group exercise class at a gym or something like this. So you're going to Orange Theory or something like this, right? I think somebody in the stream, they put me on the Orange Theory. I've heard of it, but I didn't know what it was. Or you're doing a CrossFit class or something like this, right? Or some type of cardio. You're doing like at least an hour of cardio a day. So then with the cardio session, that's another 25% caloric burn on top of your BMR. And then you're doing like some resistance training. So you could be burning 2,400 to 2,600 calories a day, maybe even 3,000 calories a day, but you're only eating like 1,200 calories, maybe 1,500. You're running yourself ragged. There's way more going out that's going in. So the caloric burn is not the problem. It is. It doesn't help when you're like, you're not getting enough of the micronutrients needed in order to undergird the hormonal processes that you need in order to get the results you want. And so what happens is if you don't have the adequate levels of vitamins, minerals like B vitamins, vitamin C, magnesium, zinc, iron, all this stuff, right? It's very difficult for your body to tap into stored fat for energy because your body only really taps into that stored fat for energy if you have enough of a vitamin and mineral profile, an amino acid profile, to be able to facilitate that conversion of turning stored fat into usable energy. Right? So this is the problem you end up running into. You're not getting enough of those underlying micronutrients to facilitate the process. And also, building muscle, tapping into fat. These are energy intensive processes. Even sleeping, you need enough energy to even sleep well at night. Right? So like if you're exhausted and you're running yourself ragged and you try to go to sleep, you can go to sleep and then wake up and feel dead tired all the time. You have restless leg. You can have eye twitches. You can just be all restless all night. You're just up all night. You can't go to sleep because you don't have the energy. Right? All right, so I think I'm gonna stop there with that. I think that's good because I'm already running a little bit behind. Where are you getting B12 from? B12 is made by the bacteria in your gut. B12 is a postbiotic. It's for the most part made by your gut microbiome. But I also get B12 from things like nutritional yeast and fortified plant-based milk. You can also supplement with B12 with like B12 drops. All right, so I got rolled oats and I got kasha. So this is toasted buckwheat. And then this is rolled oats that I do for my overnight oats. So let's see if I can prep these two things. But I got to do this because the time is tight. So with the rolled oats, I'm gonna let that drain out. Let me get my scrap bag. Because when I get out to the woods today, I'm gonna bring my scraps with me. So I'm gonna make rolled oats, and then I'm gonna make my kasha mix that I have for dinner tonight. And that's gonna be a banger. I'm gonna show y'all what I do with that. Because I put like onion and all of this type of stuff in it. I don't know if I want to do that with the kasha actually, because I have to. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Let me see if I can. All right. Well, before I do that, because I normally will prep that at night. So I got. Let me see. I'm gonna make a bell pepper and onion bag. She put the bell peppers and stuff in a bag. All right. Well, not a bell pepper and onion bag, just a bell pepper bag. So you know how like in the grocery store they'll have pre-chopped like onions and bell peppers and stuff like that you can get. It's gonna be way more expensive. It's much more affordable to just buy your own whole bell peppers and then just dice them yourself. Do I ever do my own kimchi? No, I don't typically. I don't eat much kimchi, to be quite honest. My go-to fermented foods typically are going to be coconut yogurt and sauerkraut, but I haven't been fermenting my own like cabbage and radish and stuff like that to make kimchi and sauerkraut and stuff like that. I just haven't gotten into that yet. But that's one of the things on my list though, when I start making my own. So I'm prepping this bell pepper because when I make my salads and stuff like that, I like to just be able to throw the salad in, to throw the peppers and everything in there. I don't want to have to be doing all the cutting up front. So I like to just do as much of the prep up front while I have the mental bandwidth to do so. You know what I mean? So I cut up my onions and bell peppers and all of that in advance. Just like I do the meal prep for the fruits and whatnot, I do that in advance. I could just grab and go. So basically, whenever I have the free time to do the meal prep, that's when I do the meal prep. Right? So times like this, like today, while I'm on with y'all, I can talk to y'all, spit some game. You know what I'm saying? Give y'all some game. And then while I'm at it, I do some meal prep and y'all get to see how I do it. So I have basically, what do I have? Orange, red, and yellow bell pepper. And I combine that with the green leafy vegetables, the kale and all of that. I think I'm out of kale. So I have some salad greens, but I got to get more of the spring mix and the kale. And with the kale that I get, I have to like remove the stems and all that type of stuff. So that's like pulled massaged kale, basically pulling the leaves from the stems. So I can have that prepped and ready. Got this red bell peppers, I like to mix them. So I like to do all the colors, at least 3 of the colors of the bell peppers. Cali girl, what's going on? Good to see you in here. Urban Alsay, what's going on? Good to see you. That's right, we be on here every Monday, 9 a.m. Eastern. I think I'm starting to get better with cutting too. I think I'm starting to get a little faster with it. And I do the same thing with onion also. What are some of the other fruit combos you do? Yeah, I'm doing whatever's in season. Like I have pineapple, I have grapefruit, I've got honeydew, so all of that in the corner there. I got bananas. I'm just doing whatever's ripe right now. And then when I have mango, I would do the same thing with mango or papaya. So I'll do like a mix of papaya, mango, and pineapple. So this is like this orange and golden bag. Right, so that's a good combination. I haven't gotten kiwis in a while because when I get good kiwis, like if I go to the store and all the kiwis are like rock hard, and I'm like, I won't do that. So it just depends on whatever I have available. I've been getting some really good grapes, the citrus fruits, things like that, and apples. Right, that's mainly what I've been doing, and then the honeydew, because, well, the watermelon ain't really in like that no more, at least not where I'm at. So I got to default to honeydew. And, you know, whenever I can get good cantaloupe, then I'll get good cantaloupe, but haven't been able to really get good cantaloupe yet, so it's honeydew. That's what we got. And then honeydew has been real reliable. So I've just been sticking with that. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, I gotta plug my stuff, right? I gotta plug my stuff. That's right. This banner been going all this time. That's right. Hit the link in the bio to book a call with me. Right. So if you need help, you got a specific issue, you can actually talk to me directly. We can get on. I do one-on-one calls with folks all week. So the description to book a call, the link to book a call with me is in the description of this video. So if you want to book a call with me, definitely go in the description of this video, of this live stream, and book a call. You can also join the tribe. You can join the community and get access to my high raw vegan nutrition guide, my Tribe Flex training program, my mindset and self-development video series, and also you get access to the group coaching calls that we do every Thursday. All right, so we do those as well. So you get a lot. You get a lot. So we got a few tribe members in here right now. Right, we get on Monday, we get back on here Thursday. We get on the mic, we talk, we chop it up, we do live meal planning, all that kind of stuff. We do meal prep, we do exercise tutorials, right? Live exercise tutorials and whatnot. So, you know, we all about learning and growing on this side. Look at all of this beautiful bell pepper. Y'all see this? This is a lot like what my mom does too, because she goes to the grocery store and she gets like a bunch of celery and carrots and stuff like that. And she blanches them and then throws them in the freezer. I don't really keep much stuff in the freezer because honestly, this stuff is not going to last me that long. I don't get a whole lot of food left over. So, you know, I can eat like 3 bell pepper in 3 days. So this stuff don't last that long around here. Meal prep too. Meal prep make you a better person because you got to exercise a certain level of discipline. You know what I'm saying? So it's a good exercise in discipline and consistency. Meal prep is good personal time, right? Meal prep develops character. That's why we love chefs. You know how disciplined you got to be a chef? You know what I mean? You got all the trial and error, burning stuff, and you know, things don't quite come out right because you put too much of something or not enough of something or you burn something or, you know, all of this kind of stuff. It takes a lot of discipline. But it's a worthy skill because let me tell you something, meal prep is a demonstration of personal sovereignty, right? So if you're just always eating out, you're basically living hand to mouth, right? It's like you get to eat when somebody else cooks something for you and gives it to you, you know? So when you practice food sovereignty, that's a way of when you do meal prep consistently, that's a way of practicing sovereignty, right? The food you eat comes from your labor. It comes from your hands. You get to decide what's in your plate or what's on your plate, what's in your bowl, and how much, right? It's ownership. It's personal responsibility. And that is empowering. At least in my view, it is. By the way, is today a banking holiday? You said I started prepping my fruit in the bags. It's convenient, but I don't like the plastic bag waste. I'm a chef, and yes, it does. I love. Oh yeah, well, you can reuse the same bag. So I mean, if you don't want to waste plastic bags, you can reuse the same bag. I hear you though on the waste. Yeah, so you can reuse the same bag, so that works also. Because I was using mason jars for everything. Like I was just using jars for everything. But the problem with the jars is they're heavy because it's glass. So if you're going to have everything in a glass jar for meal prep, when you carry your food with you, not only are you carrying the weight from the food, the several pounds of food, but you're also carrying the weight of the jars. So, plus the quart size bags is a good measurement, right? Because that's typically the bag is going to be around 24 to 27 ounces of, 24 to 31 ounces of fruit. Right, depending on what fruit you put in there. So it's a good measurement. So like if you wanted to eat 3 to 5 pounds of fruit a day, well, we're looking at just 2 of the bags would be like, at least 2 pounds. But yeah, more along more along the lines of like close to 3 pounds. Right, so if you get a bag of fruit and one is 27 ounces and the other one is, look at that, y'all, you see that? Beautiful. So yeah, when you do that right there will get you your 3 pounds in just 2 bags. And if you do a third bag, well, now we're looking at like 4 to 5 pounds. Oh no, I'm making a mess. Yeah, these bell peppers too. When you add vitamin C, when you pair bell peppers are high in vitamin C. So when you add them with iron-rich foods, that improves the iron absorption. By the way, you can get like an 80% increase in iron absorption by pairing it with vitamin C rich foods. So look at that. We got a whole bag of bell pepper. It's prepped and ready to go there. All right, so we get these seeds in here, and then I got bell pepper seeds. So I'm bringing this to the woods. All right, I got 20 minutes. I don't think I'm gonna get to the kasha yet. Well, I'm not. That's gonna be for dinner. I'm gonna have to do that tonight. But the next thing I get to is the overnight oats. And I'm putting burdock root in the overnight oats this time. So I'm not gonna do the pumpkin spice this time. I think I did the pumpkin spice last time, but I'm going for a more of a chocolatey flavor this time. All right. Huh? How'd it go, boo boo? You did it? There we go. All right. Oh, you need me to clean out your jar, right? Huh? Do you have a clean jar or no? Oh yeah, well yeah, I cleaned that one for you. Yeah. All right. Zoe, what's going on? My man. Hey Remsen, it was good speaking to you the other day. Quick question. Do you take creatine on a soft fast? Yes. Yes. So during like a soft fast, I would do around 10 to 20 grams. It typically averages out to being like around 15. 20 is a bit much. I typically don't do that. But like I'll do like 5 grams 3 times a day, something like that. Look at that. I didn't even finish my tea. My tea's over here cold. Oh, it's Columbus Day? I thought that's called Indigenous Peoples Day now. You said you blanch and vacuum seal? Yeah, that's right. That's right. Blanching and vacuum sealing. What should I do to help get rid of eczema? Well, that's a broader conversation, but eczema, first of all, one of the best things you could do is to start with a food sensitivity test to figure out what you have sensitivities to. Because eczema basically is like a gut health issue a lot of the time. So you get some kind of gut health issue and you're eating something that you have a sensitivity to and that's causing like an outbreak. Right? So you find out what your food sensitivities are first, but basically like one of the things, and I've had people with eczema and we've had tremendous success with their skin and healing their skin on a fruitarian style diet. Right? So it's just straight fruits, leafy greens, nuts and seeds. The only other foods that we would do that are not that would be like sprouts, sprouted lentils and things like that. And we would put that in like salads and stuff like this. Right? So yeah, that's what we would do. We had tremendous results with that. So the vitamin C is extremely important for the eczema because healing of the gut and hydration of the skin is really important for that. All right. Oh, boo boo. We had a gang of bell pepper for them salads. Uh-huh. All right, we got 2 tablespoons of the powdered peanuts. So yeah, so basically with eczema, it's typically a gut health issue. As you improve your gut health, you just really won't have eczema anymore. Right? A lot of the times too, what I would tell you is if you have eczema, I would avoid eating wheat. That's like one of the first things I would cut out of the list. I would avoid eating wheat and I would avoid cooking with oil. All right. So like speaking of creatine, I put some creatine in my overnight oat. Put like 5 grams in there. So I do like around, I've been doing like around 10, probably like 15 grams of creatine a day. It's one of those things, it's not like a massive game changer for me, but I'm kind of just experimenting with it more so right now. Like I did with the glutamine. But I mean, you're going to get the most benefit from whatever you eat. The things I've seen the most benefit from comes from the foods and the herbs. That's what I've seen the most benefits from. But for me, I don't have any deficits. So there's not really much I need to supplement with because I'm not really lacking much. Because I don't skimp on food. And it's all about the weight gain season now. Which my weight gain is kind of starting to plateau out a little bit. I'm up from 143 to 152. So yeah, I put burdock root, by the way. So far I put the creatine, the PB Fit, the hemp seeds, the burdock root powder. And now I'm putting sea salt. So I gotta pay attention to what I'm doing. All right. 1 teaspoon of sea salt. And I'm gonna put 2 tablespoons of raw sugar in the oats. So yeah, basically, and then after that, I gotta put liquid stevia. So I'm gonna put 2 drops of this. All right. All right, let me get over here. And we get some agave. Yeah, one of these days I'm gonna get Jaqueen on here to do it's gonna be a live stream. She's gonna be running the live stream. I'm gonna be somewhere in the background sitting on the toilet or something. I'm gonna be with my feet up. She's gonna star on the show. All right. And just add a little milk. And I eyeball it. That could be like around 6 ounces or so, I think. All right. Oh, so you have to cycle creatine, like use it for 3 weeks? No, you don't have to cycle it. I mean, you can take creatine perpetually, really. It's water soluble. I got to talk more too about creatine, right? I probably got to do a little side video about that. Yeah, you said, wow, that much creatine. Is that for a loading phase? Yeah, so basically with the creatine, I mean, you can do a lot of it. I mean, you can do like 30 grams of it. As a matter of fact, it can be highly beneficial to do like 30 grams of creatine. I don't really advise people to do that necessarily. I don't think you have to, but you can. It can be highly beneficial, but creatine particularly, its biggest benefits are going to be from saturation of skeletal muscle and your brain. Right? So like, let's say if you've been dealing with chronic sleep deprivation or muscle fatigue, creatine can go a long way towards helping to reverse that. If your goal is building muscle or improving mental sharpness during the day, creatine can be really beneficial for that. But that's going to require dosages upwards of like at least 15, but around 20 to 30 grams per day. right? But yeah, your body can store a lot of creatine, and the areas of your body that uses the most of it are your brain and your skeletal muscle tissue. All right, so we mix that in real good there. Z, aloha. What's going on? You tuning in from Hawaii? No, creatine is not bad for your kidneys, no. But if somebody came to me and they were like, hey, I have kidney disease, should I do high dosages of creatine? No. Probably not. No. There are other things that are going to be a little better. I don't know if I would take that risk. Right? Because it's more creatine for your body to process. But there's not really like a direct one-to-one link between creatine supplementation and kidney disease. Right? But kidney disease is a pretty significant issue that has more that's more about detoxifying your blood, and that takes precedent, right? So you really have to get some healing of your liver and your kidneys first before you start, down the road with the things like the creatine. All right. It is 10:53. It's about time for me to get to work, so I think I'll leave it there for the prep. Right? Marin, what's going on? How you doing? I had emailed you back too. I don't know, did you see it? But yeah, so yeah, if we can catch up this week or something like that, let me know. The words question. I'm a man who's 6 feet, 40 years old, and 135 pounds. My goal is 180 to 185 fruitarian lifestyle. Thoughts? Matter of fact, I got a guy. We've been having tremendous results with him as far as like weight gain and things like that and muscle building. So yeah, basically you'd probably be like an ideal for me, like guys who are like underweight and need to build weight and build muscle and gain weight and all that type of stuff. Because actually the thing that I have the most experience with is weight gain for men. That's the closest thing to my own personal journey. So yeah, I mean, what are my thoughts on it, on a fruitarian style diet? You absolutely can do it. I would say to definitely include more nuts and seeds in your diet. And definitely if you can throw in things like sprouted lentils, that would really help also. Sunflower seed kernels are like a big favorite of mine. Cashews, sunflower seed kernels, but bananas, melons. Bananas would be a big time dietary staple. I think like 2 pounds of bananas a day would be a good dietary staple. 4 to 6 ounces of nuts and seeds per day is another really good one. Overnight oats. That's also a really good one. So overnight oats, like what I just did. So if you do like 5 ounces of overnight oats, that'd be like a good 125 grams of carbs. The 2 pounds of bananas, that's another 200 grams of carbs. And then of course, you get in your fruits, whether it be grapefruit, oranges, tangerines, apples, things like that. And you can get like a good 27 to 30 ounces of a mix of those kinds of fruits for another 120 grams of carbs. So really getting in the carbs will help you to gain the weight, right? So the fruits are really good for gaining weight in the most healthy way possible, while also simultaneously helping to drop body fat in the healthiest way possible. Because it's an anti-obesogen, but it is also a major muscle building aid. Right? So yeah, it works both ways. It's very interesting how that works. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I mean, I would have to do a whole separate stream on weight gain. I've done it in the past though, also like raw vegan weight gain. I laid out the whole strategy for that. Oh, you said you thought you responded, but I'll check back. Oh, maybe I missed it. I don't know. But yeah, you could also DM me on IG or as well. People who have kidney issues can eat a lot of bananas. You can, yeah. People think that like people with kidney disease can't eat bananas because of like the potassium, but actually bananas, I think people like really overestimate the amount of potassium in a banana, right? The problem with potassium for people with kidney disease, and I mean, of course, it depends on the stage of kidney disease, whether or not you're producing urea and that type of thing, what your EGFR level is, and all of that. So it's a bit different, right? It's a bit more of a nuanced conversation. But potassium plus water fundamentally changes the issue. So if you're getting your potassium from foods that are like 80 to 90% water, this is going to fundamentally change how your body processes that potassium, right? And then also how much dietary fiber and how much salt is in your diet is also going to fundamentally change how that works out also, right? So there's a bit of nuance there. It's not just like telling people with kidney disease to avoid potassium is a very bad. It's like one of the worst things you could tell somebody with kidney disease, because the potassium is needed in order to filter waste out of your blood, right? You can't have adequate blood volume and blood filtration without potassium. The problem is high potassium in a dehydrated state. That's the problem. And people with kidney disease pretty much always are dehydrated chronically, right? So that's what I'll say about that. But I could do a longer stream on kidney disease and whatnot at a later time. But yeah, definitely hit the link in the description, become a tribe member, or book a call with me, right? If you need additional support, health, diet plan, training plan, all that fun stuff. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next one.